What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be pitching to you the threat specs as presented by Wing Incorporated, and on behalf of myself, Andrew Ball, and my two non-pictured associates, Andrew Wagner and Chris Mitchell. First and foremost, mindless reactions often lead to the most rash decisions, and we see this happen even for the bravest heroes in the real world, whether it be police officers, soldiers, or even hunters out gathering food for their families. These people encounter two things when they step into their field of specification. First of which is that they have a mission to accomplish, and second of which is that they have to identify any threats that may cause them to have disruptions in accomplishing that said mission. We're here to relieve them of the second half of that equation, meaning we're here to identify the threats for them. The ThreatSpec, our product, is a pair of smart glasses or goggles, depending on the situation that they're deployed in, designed to detect and display incoming threats faster than the human eye can process them. We do this by using proprietary database synchronization, and our technology works from a range from around 50 to 100 meters. When a threat is detected, its face will be highlighted and circled through the lens with a color correlating to its perceived level of risk: green, yellow, and red. This level of green, yellow, and red is all determined based off of prior database knowledge that's either supplied directly from the agency we're working with and is, classified, which is important to know, or is preloaded per the outdoor enthusiast model that we have. I'll get into that more in a second, but we have two different models that we're going to be deploying, and as I said before, the preloaded databases will specifically be determined by wildlife and marine biologists, so our data information is going to be extremely accurate. A little bit more into that data synchronization capability that I was talking about, and as it relates to our company, why is it so great? It happens to be our breakthrough and secret sauce, so to say, because this database is able to connect the glasses that people are wearing. These officers, specifically in the military and police officer models, can directly link with these databases that we give them upon purchase, that are basically blank canvases that they can fill with their own database information that gives them local and relevant information that's displayed through the lenses that's deployed by their officers. So specifically what I mean by this is, say for instance, if they're in LA, for LAPD buys this equipment or buys this technology, they'll be given a completely classified and only accessible by them platform and tool that they can upload their own facial recognition and booking database records onto, with which they can do with what they feel is necessary. As I mentioned before, the outdoor enthusiast model is tailored to specific regions and is preloaded. Situations where our product are helpful, specifically for the police and government and military model, there's plenty of them to choose from. Most specifically, the war and criminal terrorists intrigues me, and the identification of direct enemies and shootouts in war zones for the military end of the model. The police model also is helpful for identifying those with outstanding warrants, people with faces in one face in large crowds of people, and non-invasive license plate scans or manual license plate scans. It alleviates that need, and etc. For our outdoor enthusiast model, there's plenty of situations where the product can be helpful, such as hunting trips, bird watching, plant observations, reptile observations, animal tracks, etc. The total market size for the police and government model is 2.2, and the outdoor enthusiast model has a total market size of 17.5 million, which we'll get into in a second. As you see here, the market size is shown in yellow and red for the hunting and nature, as well as the scuba industries that we would be potentially selling to. The reason why we're not using those huge percentages of market size as, our indication to sell to those industries is because we don't feel like we can fully compete and grab as much space of the market as we can for the military and police. We feel if we put in enough of our work that we can completely corner the 11.2% in the way that we feel necessary. As for, we're still going to attempt to, but hunting and nature in the scuba industry, we anticipate that although it makes up such a large area on the chart itself, it may be partially misleading. As far as competition for the military and police model, we see here that the current competition has no contracts, but there are 3 competitors. There's no contracts, meaning that nobody has signed a contract that is to be fulfilled, meaning that there's still open, the race is still open. For hunters and botanists in the nature, etc., the market size is 11.5 million. As for scuba, is 6 million, and there's 3 and 5 competitors respectively, with most notably being HoloLens by Microsoft and Google Glass technology, as well as Sight Echo in the scuba diver division. So, as for our sales and channels, we have retails. Our sales channels are mostly consistent of retail stores, e-commerce, website, and direct sales. Well, actually, entirely of those 3, and 2 of the 3 of which, the first 2 retail stores and e-commerce websites, are our B2C operations, whereas our contract obligations are B2B with those government agencies. Our marketing and partnerships that we feel are key of note are social media and influencers, retail chains, and we're going to be venturing into TV advertisement. As for our bulk purchase commercial models, we're going to be, we'll have inventory stock by which we can negotiate and sign contracts for, with which then the shipment arrives at the co-packing and warehousing fulfillment facility, which then the logos and packages are assembled, it's delivered, and then unloaded and presented by us intimately with the agency to give them the best breakdown of their product. As for the single retail purchase, we see here that there's 2 different pathways. The online e-commerce transactions are then conveyed, the transaction data that's made from the purchase is conveyed to our shipping and fulfillment facilities, and then orders are picked, packed, shipped, and sent out accordingly. As for our in-person product sales, we have product inventory that's delivered to retail channel partners such as Big Five and Cabela's, etc. Purchases are then made from retail partners and locations from which we collect and report the revenue and the transaction is complete. As for this is a little bit more into our business model, but as for our revenue / cost plus projections, we can project that our company will be scaled to upwards of $100 million in 5 years. Our logic behind that is that off of commercial purchases alone, we can make up to on average $750 per government contract. If there's 18,000 agencies to work with, we're confident $100 million is a goal we can hit. This plus an additional military contract that we can sign, which one of those can value of upwards of $200 million, plus the retail sales, which will be marginal revenue stream at this point, we'll pass $100 million. We're almost, can't guarantee anything, but we are very confident in our product. As our price points, we see our military model sits at $200 a unit. The price model for the police is $300 a unit, and the outdoor enthusiast model for the hunters and scuba divers is $450 a unit. Our revenue is super heavily relies primarily and heavily on the execution related to delivering the outsourced manufacturing products, which is a simple game plan. And our profit margin sits at 55.5% for the first 5 years, as projected. Our cost, and as I said recently, is that the manufacturing expenses are going to be taking up a huge amount. It's going to be weighted heavily towards our manufacturing expenses to depend on our revenue, which is the cost associated up to 80% of our total cost. The increasing in GSA and marketing costs is relative to our company growth. Our price points, as you see here, as I noted on previously. Our current status, you see that the company was birthed 3 months ago. As we are now, we're 2 weeks after hiring secondary employees, and we're 3 years away from where we feel we're going to get our first offer of after evaluation of upwards of $100 million. Who gets it done? Us 3, as I mentioned at the beginning of this segment, as well as 15 telephone salesmen, 3 social media managers, 10 local packaging attachment employees, and we're going to outsource our digital marketing partnerships. Comments from some potential customers. We see the police forces say that this product has never been seen before, nor is it being deployed and can be used for dashboard and license plate identification. Hunters say that this is perfect for identifying dangerous bugs, plants, mammals, etc. And the CEO of the marketing business that we're going to be working with says this is a product with scale. Some potential problems we may run into is that our product may seem invasive, but under U.S. Homeland Security regulatory guidelines, we are not violating anybody's given rights. In our competition price wars, we may pull out our retail model if we can't compete with price reductions after 1 year, but our priority is bulk commercial orders, as said before. So finally, all in all, our mission is for the ThreatSpec to provide clarity for the real heroes in their everyday lives. And because it does so well at that, we are going to be asking for $10 million for 10% stake in our company. Thank you.